Evicted women take out restraining order. NCD Police boss puts all evictions on hold. And citizens looking ahead with hope for 2018.
This is the National EMTV News with Mary Bertulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. Next year's APEC meetings will showcase the whole country and not just one or two centers. This is the word from Chief Executive Officer of APEC PNG Authority, Christopher Hawkins. He was responding to concerns raised by Medang Resort owner and businessman Sir Peter Bata that Medang was left out of the list of venues to host APEC events. Mr. Hawkins said the claim was misleading and that there would also be regional visits planned to take APEC delegates outside of Port Moresby to areas like Medang, Goroka, Mount Hagen, Kokopo, Wewak, Kavieng, Ley, Popondetta, Bougainville and many other centers. Lucy Agen and Cecilia Awi will return and occupy their homes after serving a restraining order to police and other parties earlier today. They've been sleeping outside their homes at Lepwing Drive in Port Moresby's Gordon suburb for almost 4 nights following their evictions on Saturday. Both tenants are also calling for a separate investigation into the damage caused by police and how the property title was transferred to an Asian businessman.
Former Lands Officer Lucy Agen and nurse Cecilia Awi returned to the property today after serving restraining orders to police, NHC and other parties involved in the matter. Their legal counsel says the restraining order allows the two tenants to occupy the property until the matter returns to court next month.
Any person that he engages to come and disturb, harass or intimidate or assault the defendants. That's Lucy Agen and her family members and Cecilia Awi. And apart from that, we also got another order. That's for them to enter the flats.
Lucy and Cecilia, along with their families, were evicted over the weekend by police. They claim the title of the property was transferred illegally despite a national court order was in place. Yesterday, police forcefully removed their properties. They say police must now return their belongings and compensate the damages done.
Na mitbla film belba mitla buruk na bagrab. Na ogora santim blo mibla kukim ta so lisab len or lodim lo karna. Iko tromai lo wana map mibla no sabe so. Now mitla ba sit down or se mistab. Sad ba kukim mitbla das bagen kamanda blo mitla ba wait or se mistab. Ina blo police iko tromai lo wana map lo ngen. All maskarim kam.
It has been a painful festive season for these two mothers. Former nurse Cecilia Awi says they will fight for justice.
Mibla at last was lawyer, mibla fight strong na mibla simbek is la house where mibla ba put the head ken na mibla ba stop longan na. But it got long process where mibla ba go yet longan. Na mibla la looking for some justice must prevail na mibla must be compensated. Lo one can distraction na hang where mibla sim longan.
The two tenants say they will wait for police to respond to the restraining order and for police to cut the locks open so they occupy the homes.
Police commissioner I met myself. Magim man lo investigate na find out. There's the authority I'm giving go down from who to who. Na all deliver him come na. Come bagrab mibla innocent mama pigini lo ya. All yet must talk na mi masawe.
The matter will return to the courts on the 3rd of January 2018. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Pero Drano has said he had given orders to hold back all evictions this Christmas until the end of the Christmas and New Year operations. He added that he was unaware of the eviction and had only learnt of it by the news report on this station. The Metropolitan Superintendent said the eviction was carried out by policemen not under his command. He said it was the McGregor Mobile Squad that evicted Lucy Agen with a court order in place.
I'll be in contempt if I refuse to implement that orders. Unfortunately for that case, I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of it because we decide from this command that Christmas, New Year, let's leave it free of eviction. If there is an order, we'll just hold it until after we complete our operation because manpower is too scarce for us now and we do that. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it happened, and there's nothing I can do with somebody else. Work out of my command. as it is, I cannot do anything because if the court order is correct, then there's nothing much I can do. What I could only say to our resident in NCD is, for NCD command, we have directed to our personnel that no eviction is to be done during Christmas and New Year. Even you have the orders. And we authorize that. Administratively, we authorize our personnel to do the eviction. Unfortunately, like I said, that did not come to us. The order was given to a different unit outside of the command. And there's nothing I can do about it.
The Waigani Christian Academy in Port Moresby has opened its doors to students who have been pushed out by the national education system to continue their studies into secondary level. Director Benjamin Mull says they welcome any student, encouraging them to enroll at Waigani Christian Academy, and their priority is to provide a pathway to education for the nation to prosper.
The Waigani Christian School is one of the privately permitted education institutions in the country, offering second chances to students with education. The institution is a testimonial because since its establishment, it has catered for those pushed out by the national education system. The pioneer grade 12 students graduated with flying colors this year. 6 of them have been selected to further their tertiary education.
Some of them are dropped out. Waigani Christian College is accepting them. So we will give them a second chance. Waigani Christian College is a school of second chance.
The school has been providing opportunities to more students. Mull says there are bigger plans for next year as they celebrate 25 years of providing quality education in the country.
But for the school itself, I got a big land and I really want to expand and, build teachers' house. I don't have teachers' house now. But I really want to build teachers' house so teachers can sleep inside and teach. And I also want dormitories. So many students from far away in other provinces, they want to come to school here at Waigani Christian College, but we don't have dormitories. So universities like TAFE College and other universities, overseas, I want to affiliate with them. So my students here, when they finish grade 12, they can be accepted to go and do 1 year or 2 year program in overseas and get diploma or degree. And then they will come back and become useful in our country.
In line with the school's plan, Waigani Christian Academy has recently opened a branch of University of Goroka on its Waigani campus for the southern region.
We made an agreement already, so the campus is on. So next year, the University of Goroka will accept students who pass out from grade 12. Not only Waigani, but some other students around NCD or southern region. If they don't have space, or if they are not accepted to go to other institutions, they will still come here and do the foundation courses. So enrollment is still open.
As a church-run agency school, Mull thanked the government for recognizing their potential, choosing them as one of the pilot project schools for the standard-based curriculum. A 1.5 million kina fully kitted science lab will also be built on campus next year. Stacey Yallo, National, EMTV News.
Despite being denied a spot in the national selection process due to its status as a non-registered higher education institution, the Institute of Business Studies Group today proceeded with student registration for the 2018 academic year. More than 500 students who had applied to IBSU through their school leaver forms are expected to register through their Saraga campus at 6 Mile. You're with National EMTV News. A quiet Christmas for Leh, what people are expecting in the new year, and a focus on potentially new voting system with help from India. Those stories and more after these messages. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Christmas in Leh was generally quiet and peaceful as most residents celebrated in their homes and churches. However, police reported an incident on Monday night where a group of relatives were held up by more than 10 men at the 2nd Seven Cemetery. Police later apprehended 7 men. Meanwhile, Leh Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi says no major traffic incidents were reported and police operations will continue until the new year. It was back to normal for business today for the festive celebrations. As 2018 looms, people are hoping for a change come the new year. And they tell EMTV News they want to see more positive change and the equal distribution of services by the state.
As 2018 looms with just a few days away, individuals are contemplating life change. MTV News caught up with 17-year-old Ainao.
My New Year resolution is, I think, focus more onto school because I'm grade 12 next year, so get a place into big institutions for, a better life. So yeah, I think that's it.
Working during the festive season is normal for Grace Nobio. She shared her aspirations.
New Year resolution, that would be to further my studies. Hopefully this will give more scholarship for us to further our studies and look for a better job. Yeah, that's all.
John Akene also shared his hopes for the coming year.
In this year 2018, I have to kill the nature of the body, flesh, so that I must be more obedient to the word of God and to the Holy Spirit of God that is in me, so that I can able to show that to the church, family first, then to the church, and then to the police environment and the general public as well.
Lillian Kinea, National MTV News.
Two government agencies will be working closely to develop an alternate voting system for Papua New Guinea. Communications and Information Secretary Paulius Kony says the recent visit to India was practically helpful for PNG's electoral system. He says dialogue with experts from India will see the development of a new voting system, and work will begin once instruments for an agreement are signed between PNG and India.
Speaking after returning from a 5-day visit in India, Secretary Kony says the use of ICT will be instrumental in developing a suitable voting system for the country. He says despite India using the first past the post system, Indian experts are keen to help the PNG Electoral Office.
Where we can be able to harness some assistance from India in that regard. But it's for us to work together and ensure that we have a system that is beneficial for our electoral system.
Electoral Commissioner Patalis Gamato was also part of the delegation which held separate meetings with Indian officials. With the recent 2017 national elections, the Electoral Commission was put under immense pressure with accusations of poorly conducting the elections. The Law and Reform Constitution Commission says PNG needs a better voting system to minimize cheating and other related issues.
We joined the team to see what India does in relation to registering of individuals and the legal framework, and also running the elections and the legal framework. So it is in that context that we joined Minister Maru and the team.
The use of ICT will be a key enforcer in developing the new voting system. It will take a while in developing this new system for the country, with feasibility studies to begin once agreements between PNG and India are signed. Head of the delegation to India and Planning Minister Richard Maru says not only was a new voting system canvassed, other sectors covered were education, transport, SME, health, law and order and energy.
That India is now willing to enter into with Papua New Guinea for the mutual benefit of both countries.
The Exim Bank of India will be providing a loan of $400 million to help PNG and India achieve many of the infrastructures discussed during the visit. Jack Lopave Jr., National MTV News.
Pope Francis conducted the Angelus prayer, reminding the world that it was the day to celebrate Saint Stephen, the first martyr of the Catholic Church. Saint Stephen, in the biblical context, was stoned to death and became the first martyr.
Pope Francis, the leader of the world's 1.2 billion Catholics, said in his Christmas message that the world was whipped by winds of war, urging a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and peace for the contested city of Jerusalem.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Dear brothers and sisters, good morning. After celebrating the birth of Jesus, today we celebrate the birth of Saint Stephen, the first martyr into heaven.
The pontiff also urged people to see the defenseless baby Jesus and the children who suffer the most from war, migration and natural calamities caused by man today.
Please don't forget to pray for me. Have a good lunch and goodbye.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Friends and families have come together to remember a mother and daughter in a Christmas Day crash. They were traveling to a family gathering when an out-of-control car slammed into them.
The place that meant so much to Karen and Michaela Tritton, today friends came together to mourn and to remember.
I'll wake up tomorrow and this is all a dream, all a joke. I wish it was. I know it won't be.
A Christmas Day crash took their lives on the way to lunch when another driver hit them head-on. Michaela was a star bowler, representing Queensland a number of times, always supported by her mum. She worked at Strathpine Hyperbowl, but the people here were much more than colleagues. They were her bowling family.
She always wanted to help and always wanted to show people how they could better themselves in every way, not just temp and bowling.
Friends were shocked when they found out the news. Father, Laurie and sister Tamika remain in hospital in a stable condition.
I was on the phone to her late last night because I knew she was going in for another dose of surgery and that she was getting plates and pins put into her ankle.
A GoFundMe page set up by friends has raised more than $5,000 for the family in less than 24 hours. The man charged over the crash, 46-year-old Mark Veneris, has been granted bail when he leaves hospital.
U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump kicked off Christmas by attending a Christmas service at an Episcopal church in Palm Beach, Florida. The Trumps, who were in Florida for the Christmas holiday, were greeted by Reverend James Harlan.
It was a relatively quiet Christmas day for President Trump. He and the First Lady spent it ensconced at Mar-a-Lago. That's, of course, the president's Florida resort. But Trump fit in plenty of Christmas festivities on Christmas Eve. That's when he sent a video message to U.S. troops who are deployed abroad. He and the First Lady also made phone calls to children who were tracking Santa. And then after that, they attended a Christmas Eve service at the church that they were married at. But, of course, this wouldn't be President Trump without a Twitter tirade here and there. And we certainly saw that over the weekend heading into this Christmas holiday. That's when he took aim at the FBI, he took aim at the media, and aired one of his deepest grievances of 2017, the notion that he's just not getting credit for all of his achievements, particularly on the economy.
From a political stage to a stage filled with ballerinas and the music of dance, the Moscow Ballet is now performing the Great Russian Nutcracker across the United States, bringing with it a message of peace.
The Moscow Ballet is performing the Great Russian Nutcracker on stages across the United States. This is their 25th anniversary Nutcracker tour, stemming from Glasnost, the policy calling for increased artistic openness between the U.S. and Russia after the end of the Cold War. And their version of the Nutcracker is quite different from what you may have seen before. There's no sugar plum fairy here, but there is a dove of peace, a gift given to the principal character Masha during the Christmas party scene.
And she takes the dove of peace on the wings of the dove of peace around the world, seeking peace and harmony. She goes to France, Italy, Africa, all around the world, and she finds peace and harmony through love.
To show their commitment to the theme of love and peace with the U.S., Moscow Ballet created Dance With Us. It's a program where local ballet students in each city audition, rehearse, and perform with these famous Russian ballet dancers. Besides fostering a greater cultural exchange between the two countries, it gives the American children a once-in-a-lifetime experience and a glimpse behind the Russian ballet curtain.
Russia, there's definitely they have to work really hard to get where they want to be, and there's no other way to do it. In the Russian one, I had teachers that were they were very strict, and you have to work really hard.
So you want to go to Russia, is that right? Would you like to live there?
It's kind of scary, moving to Russia, because, you never know what's going to happen, or alone or something. It was a new experience, and it was very fun.
Moscow ballet dancer Batalov is an honored artist of Russia. That's one of the highest honors given in that country. Producer Akiva Talmi told us the Russian ballet is like America's Hollywood, so Batalov's honor is like winning an Oscar. And they both say dancing in the U.S. has left an impression on them.
Well, the fact that Russian ballet brings special culture, and I hope that the American audience will remember what we're delivering with our performance of the classical heritage.
The Russian artists have learned about American children. The openness and the happiness of American children is very, very contagious. They're surprised by that. There's a tremendous amount of misunderstanding through many, many years through poor politics. And truthfully, culture has always been used as a vehicle for improving relations. My life in working with Russia has been about peace. And the Dove of Peace is our most successful character.
Moscow Ballet hopes American audiences see that the great Russian nutcracker does what sometimes politics can't seem to do, bring us together.
Boxing Day sales in London saw shoppers going after very specific items, apparently those worn by Prince Harry's fiancée, Meghan Markle.
Christmas Day is a day off for the royal family. They were seen for mere moments as they arrived at church. Many fashionistas in the Twitter sphere, meanwhile, got to work, racing to find out what Harry's fiancée was wearing. Meghan Markle wore a camel-coloured coat by Canadian brand Centala, the Pixie bag by Chloe, and boots that bloggers have identified as Stuart Wiseman. Online, the coat has sold out. The boots have sold out. The bag hadn't quite sold out today, but perhaps that's got something to do with the price tag, $1,400. While much of Meghan Markle's outfit may be sold out online, some shoppers here today are hoping that it might be available in store, but only if they're quick. These girls told us they were inspired to buy a Chloe bag today after seeing Meghan wearing hers.
Obviously, she's an icon now, so that's an obvious thing. So everyone gonna want to buy it and like wants to wear it. Be like, oh yeah, I have the bag that Meghan Markle wear. Oh, I have this that Meghan Markle wear. But I think even though if Meghan Markle not wearing that thing, it still like look good as well.
The royal engagement has sparked even more interest in Meghan Markle, who already had a big fan base from her acting career. Meghan's Mirror is one of several blogs dedicated to Meghan Markle's style.
We had a lot of people asking, where can I buy this? Where can I get this? So we created a database where people could go onto the website and find pretty much anything she's worn and click to purchase it. It's turned into a great business for us.
And great business for the brands that Meghan Markle wears in the months ahead.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3095 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.302 $0.3869 Australian dollars, $0.2506 euro, and 33.81 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, copper closed lower, gold is trading lower, while coffee and cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil closed lower, copper closed higher, while crude oil is trading lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones is down 7 points, the ASX is 0.1 points higher, and the All Ordinary is 2 points higher. Here with National EMTV News, we'll have more stories from abroad when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. A community in Manchester had extra reasons to celebrate this Christmas after raising more than $500,000 to save their local pub. Developers had their eye on the site, but 200 patrons had other ideas, pulling at the checkbooks and getting their minds dirty.
Regulars at the Northumberland Arms feared would never come, the day their beloved pub reopened its doors in time for Christmas. But a year after it closed, with the brewery planning to sell it off for housing development, the Thumb, as it's known, is back in business and owned by the people who drink here.
We can run it commercially and we can buy the beer at the right price, we can sell it at the right price, and crucially we don't have to make a commercial profit. We're in this to make money to reinvest in the community.
The Northumberland Arms first opened its doors in Stockport back in 1824, owned by the famous local brewery Robinson's. Just over a year ago, the firm decided it was no longer viable, and it became one of the 29 British pubs that close every week. But rather than see it go, a group of locals raised almost £300,000 to buy it and do it up, carrying out much of the work themselves. So far, there are around 50 cooperative pubs like this around the UK.
We want to encourage groups to use it more and more, and it doesn't matter what that group is, and they'll be able to use it and come here and enjoy the surroundings and feel that they're only walking distance away from where they live.
On opening night just before Christmas, the place was packed. Many regulars have been coming here for decades, and there is a reason why.
So it's the kind of place where the local community come in, people are friendly, neighbours know each other.
If you're running it as a community venture where profit isn't the thing that is the top of the list, is not the thing that you're setting out to achieve at the outset, then you can make a real success of these places.
The Thumb had been open for nearly 200 Christmases before it shut. These people believe there's no reason why it can't see 200 more.
Cheers. A traditional textile industry is making a return to the UK after 50 years. A Manchester mill is reviving commercial cotton and spinning and connecting various businesses across the region.
Fresh off the boat from California, cotton has come back to its spiritual home. Refurbished and re-energised, this Manchester mill is the first in the UK to spin commercially again. For the first time in 50 years, cotton is in full production.
It's really re-engaged the weavers and the finishers and the dyers to pull together and forge those chains back again. And there is honestly an enormous appetite for provenance and British made.
We're following the process as the cotton spun here finds its way from the bale to the clothes hanger.
From its raw state to spun yarn, I'm now going to take this cotton from here in Manchester over to Blackburn to be dyed.
That's for you. What happens now?
So we're going to take this into our dye house, we're going to load it onto a dye stand, we're going to bleach it, we're going to dye it and we're going to dry it.
This yarn dyers used to source all its cotton overseas. Now it only travels 30 miles. Turned pink, it's time to take the yarn up the road to Burnley to be woven. The resurrection of the cotton process comes at a good time for the industry. BBC News and the trade body Make It British spoke to almost 100 textile businesses to see how their 2017 has been. 30% of them say they're exporting more British-made goods than last year. There is concern about the age of the workforce. 2/3 have staff whose average age is over 40. But overall, the news is positive. 50% of them are turning over more than a year ago. The factory weaving our pink cloth is a good example.
Our order book is really healthy, so the next 6 months forecast is looking great. So much so that we're now having to put on extra shifts and recruit additional staff.
You are then? Back in Manchester, our cloth is now ready to be made into a shirt. Cut, pressed, stitched and finished at this factory, one of the few of its kind to survive.
I don't think we'll ever see a return to the halcyon days of Cottonopolis. However, there is huge opportunities for businesses and brands like ours to create sustainable, viable and ultimately very profitable businesses by making him here again in the UK and selling to an international marketplace.
Spun, dyed, woven and stitched, the cotton process has been sewn back together again.
And the Vatican has discovered 2 lost paintings by Raphael after 500 years.
A 500-year-old mystery at the Vatican has just been solved. The Renaissance painter Raphael, who painted these famous frescoes in 3 rooms at the Vatican, began work on another room before his death. But those paintings had never been found until now.
So coming from the 3 rooms that Raphael painted, we're now in the Hall of Constantine. This room was used for lavish banquets by Renaissance popes. And right now they're cleaning and restoring its frescoed walls. And they've made a once-in-a-lifetime discovery.
2 paintings by the master Raphael, depicting the female figures, justice and friendship. Raphael planned to paint the whole wall in oil, instead of the traditional fresco technique, but died before he could finish, and the figures were lost amidst the frescoed paintings done after him. One of the Vatican's chief restorers, Fabio Piacentini, explains the thrill of their rediscovery.
It's an amazing feeling. Knowing these were probably the last things he painted, you almost feel the real presence of the maestro.
A first clue to the existence of these paintings is found in this book from the 15th century, written by the historian Vasari, who said that Raphael had begun to paint two figures in a new experiment with oil. But for centuries they remained unidentified in the Vatican, until they began cleaning these walls. To the expert eye, it was clear that these two figures were not like the others.
The way the paintbrush moves, even the subtlety of the point of the brushes used to create the small wisps of air.
He says that clues that this is a genuine Raphael are seen in the confidence of the brushwork, the unusual shades of color, and the fact that there is no sign on these two figures of a preparatory drawing underneath. This infrared photo confirmed to the restorers that these two figures were not like the rest, the oil paintings clearly showing through in this advanced technology. For the head of the Vatican Museums, Barbariata, the discovery is a major one. Restoring the Raphaels in the whole room will take them until at least the year 2022.
She's probably one of the most important projects never done in the last decades, apart from the Sistine Chapel, done in the Vatican museums.
With so much history and artwork here, could there be yet other major discoveries?
This is the beautiful thing of projects, of different projects. So we are still working on that. We are still searching. I mean, research that's the good point of the research. It never ends.
Last Christmas, a little girl was bound to undergo a controversial spinal surgery in the United States. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and her parents hoped the surgery could help her walk. A year on, the 5-year-old isn't on her feet by herself just yet, but she's no longer wheelchair-bound and can even ride a bike.
You can do it all by yourself.
A year ago, riding a bike was impossible for Isabella Lombardo. Walking like this in the park also seemed a distant dream.
What do you hope that you'll be able to do soon?
Walk.
By yourself?
With no one holding me and not the sticks holding me.
Last Christmas, Isabella was wheelchair-bound or just managing in a walker due to a form of cerebral palsy called spastic diplegia. A week later, she went to America for irreversible spinal cord surgery to cut her abnormal nerves and ease muscle pain.
Her legs were for the first time completely relaxed. Her toes weren't pointed in, her knees weren't held together, her feet weren't flexed.
Since then, the 5-year-old's had physiotherapy and hydrotherapy sessions almost daily to teach her muscles how to work again.
We're nearly at Mama.
I know. How come you're so fast today?
You know, sometimes when I'm falling, I have an idea, and then I put my stick out, and then I stop.
Oh, that's good.
I just go, I put it out to the side, just one, or sometimes two, and then I'm this way.
Ready? Go!
You know, she sits at the park and she watches her little baby brother, you know, running around the park, and she sits there. She says, "Mummy, I wish I could walk." And it really hurts, you know. And from that moment, that's when I don't stop.
Here with National EMTV News, we go for a break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Comanche and Wild Oats are ahead of the finish record in the Sydney to Hobart race. Both are expected to fight it out for line honours.
It's getting
Very close. Just in the last half an hour or so, Wild Oats has managed to whittle away Comanche's lead. They're basically level pegging heading down the Tasmanian coastline. The multi-million-dollar Super Maxis have about 70 nautical miles to go, so not long at all. Both yachts are well within the record time set last year by Perpetual Loyal. It's estimated they'll arrive here at Constitution Dock as early as 8 o'clock Hobart time, which, as you said, is just 3 hours away now. Comanche held a strong lead sailing across Bass Strait, hitting speeds of up to 30 knots last night in perfect northeasterly winds. Despite having quite serious sail problems, Wild Oats was able to remain within about 10 nautical miles behind Comanche overnight. The biggest challenge facing Comanche will be the conditions on the Derwent. If the wind dies down, Comanche will find it very difficult in the last 44 nautical miles. It means the international race jury's decision on whether to give Wild Oats a time penalty for their manoeuvre on Sydney Harbour yesterday, forcing Comanche to launch a protest, will be critical. The other Super Maxis, Brisbane-owned Blackjack and Infotrack, as well as Beau Jest, are also well inside the record time, but don't appear to be in the race for line honours at this stage. The fleet is now down to 99 boats after 3 retirements of Rockall, Jazz Player and What's Next. But for now, Katrina, the focus is certainly on this cat and mouse race.
Meanwhile, commentators have described Comanche's lead as travelling astonishingly fast.
It's unusual to see that the record was broken by 5 hours last year and to think it could be broken by several more hours this year. It's amazing. It's a very tricky stretch of water. I think most importantly, if the weather holds in, that's the most critical thing to determine if a record's going to happen tonight.
And we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. South Africa continues to show wonders at the World Rugby Sevens. This report from CNN World Rugby.
For more than a century, South Africa's Springboks have carried the hopes of a nation. In one of the sport's most iconic moments, President Nelson Mandela, wearing a Springbok shirt, presented the Webb Ellis Trophy to Captain Francois Pienaar as they won the World Cup on home soil in 1995. But the 15-a-side team has been under pressure following a marked dip in form, while the Seven squad, known as the Blitzboks, have gone from strength to strength. This is the man responsible for much of all that's positive about South African rugby at the moment. Neil Powell's Sevens team, known as the Blitzboks, made a winning start to their defence of the Sevens World Series in Dubai last weekend, and they are also targeting success in the Commonwealth Games and the Sevens Rugby World Cup this season.
Yeah, I think it meant a great world for us to win that World Series. I think something that we worked for 4 years. When I came into the system, I think we only managed to win it once before, and I was actually part of that team as a player, and now as a coach. So it was it's just great to finally get the reward for all the hard work.
Powell's success as a player has provided authority and authenticity, insight and inspiration to his role as coach. The players know he's been in their boots and knows just what it takes to win a Sevens World Series.
Well, I think our coach is really relaxed. He's pretty chill. You guys can see it when he plays on the TV. People say like he normally doesn't show any emotion. But like you can see when he's not happy with us, and we know when he's not happy with us, and that's when we don't give enough effort. So if we don't do that, then he literally becomes unhappy. But otherwise, he's a very cool coach. He allows you to express yourself both on and off the field, and I think that's what makes the environment so happy.
Our coach Neil is a phenomenal man, a man with integrity, and I think that's all that players can ask for, a coach that's completely honest with them, a door that's always open, doesn't matter if it's just a silly question or something back home. He's a father figure in the team, and everybody is looking up to him.
The coach of South Africa's 15-a-side team, Alistair Coetzee, is under pressure. His side have won just 11 times in 25 tests. And there are a growing number of voices suggesting that Powell's coaching abilities could be used to revive the Springboks' fortunes.
I think it's just
an assisting role more than coaching the Springbok 15s. I still got a contract with SA7 till 2020, and I think it's only in assisting the Springboks if they feel that we as a Springbok 7 setup can contribute in developing players.
Powell doesn't let such distractions interrupt preparations for his most immediate challenge, winning the next round of the Sevens World Series in front of a home crowd.
Yeah, it's really special for us to play in Cape Town. I think we only get that opportunity once a year to play in front of our home crowd, and yeah, I think the energy and the vibe in that stadium is just unbelievable. And I think after the first year I was like, yes, they can't beat this vibe and energy, and it was even better the second year, which was last year. Unfortunately, we couldn't go all the way. We lost against England in that final, and hopefully we can pull off a win this time round.
And that's it for True Kai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
A quick look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Fine weather in Daru, showers in Port Moresby, Kerma, Alotau and Popondetta. To the Mumasi region, showers expected in Vanimo, Wewak, Madang, Wau and Ley. To the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine in Lorengau and Kavieng, showers in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect a shower or two with morning fog.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 27th of December, 2017. As we are still in the Christmas spirit, we'll leave you with this Christmas song. It came up on the Midnight Clear by the Commonwealth Youth Orchestra and the Choir of London. You have a top night. Good night.